So here we are. This is our last session. We'll start out with a little bit of silent meditation, like we always have. And then I'd like to, go through the rest of the sadhana and explain it so that you have that. And then we'll do the practice again if there's time. Okay? Did you do it last night or this morning by any chance? To see you did? Anybody else? Yeah, very good, thank you. Yeah? How was it leading yourself through? Harder? Yeah. It's harder at the beginning, because you're not so used to it and you have to open your eyes and read the next bit. But after a while, it just becomes very habitual and you can do it by yourself. And then you can pace it as you want to, spending more times on one part, and do it slightly different each time. Okay, let's start with a little bit of silence, watching the breath, letting the mind settle. Let's do the mantra 3 times before we do that. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Mebawa Sutakaya Mebawa Supakaya Mebawa Anurata Mebawa Sarvasiddhi Membiyata Saragam Samaya Sita Shankara Ho Bhagavan Sarvatatagat Vajramamimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Mebawa Sutakaya Mebawa Supakaya Mebawa Anurata Mebawa Sarvasiddhi Membiyata Sarvakam Sutame Sita Shankara Ha Ho Bhagavan Sarvatathagata Vajramamimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Mebawa Sutakaya Mebawa Supakaya Mebawa Anurata Mebawa Sarvasiddhi Membiyata Sarvakam Sutame Sita Shankara Ha Ho Bhagavan Sarvatathagata Vajramamimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ahum Pe. Then to cultivate our motivation, let's reflect on the kindness of other living beings, and that we have been and still are very dependent on them simply to stay alive. That we can't live on our own. We don't know how to do all the things that are required just to grow our own food and build our own shelter and so forth. So we need other living beings. They benefit us a lot. And they have feelings just like us, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. So considering the benefit that they've, and the kindness that they've shown towards us, considering that they only wish happiness and not suffering, then doesn't it seem fitting for us to repay their kindness in one way or another? And the best way to do this is by being able to cultivate the path and gain the realizations so that we can lead others in that direction as well. So let's make that our motivation for sharing the Dharma together this afternoon. Everything okay?
Now I get the blame. I got the praise now.
I think blame should be abolished. Yeah? Blame makes somebody more important than they are. Yeah? Because blame makes one person solely responsible for something. And situations are never like that. Yeah. It's never that simplistic. As much as we would like to make it simplistic, it isn't. Yeah. And also, blame implies not just that the action was mistaken, but that the person who did it is bad or evil. Yeah. And I don't think that outlook is very helpful, because there's a difference between people and their actions. Yeah. The people have Buddha nature. You can't say they're inherently evil. The actions, you can say, are inappropriate and harmful. But you can't just make a judgment on somebody. They're to blame, they're bad, throw them out the window, and then we don't need to deal with them anymore. You know? Our mind likes to put things in nice, neat little categories and then think that we understand everything, but it's not like that. Okay, so yesterday we got through the power of reliance and the power of regret. Okay, and then the power of remedial action. Okay, this is where we're at. Am I remembering correctly? Hello? Or don't you remember? If you don't remember, then we have to start at the beginning. Okay. No, I led the whole meditation through the dedication. The prostrations are another practice, but in terms of explaining the whole sadhana, I think we just did the first 2 points, okay? So the third point is the power of the remedial action, okay? And so you have Vajrasattva above the crown of your head, and at his heart, the flat moon disk with a upright hum, and starting in front, Om Vajrasattva Samaya, going around the edge of the moon disk like that, okay? So from that, light rays go out in all directions, excuse me, and it says, the light rays request the Buddhas to bestow their blessings, okay? So it's as if Vajrasattva is communicating with all the other Buddhas, saying, please join me and, help me purify this sentient being. And so then the Buddhas, of course, accept and emanate light rays and nectar themselves that come and absorb back into the hong and mantra syllables of Vajrasattva's heart above your head. Okay? And then from there, the light and nectar fill Vajrasattva's body, and especially it starts flowing down, and it goes through the crown of your head into your body. Okay? So, sometimes people say, well, but the nectar gets on top of my head and it can't get in, it goes down the side because my head is solid. I can't get the nectar. Okay, remember, this is a visualization. Okay, so yes, the nectar and the light can come in. Yeah, don't think of your body as so solid that, nothing can penetrate, because in actual fact, our skin is breathing and things are going in and out of our body all the time. Yeah. So you imagine that the light and nectar comes down and then comes into you. And when it comes into you, you can imagine it, there's a central channel going down the middle of your body. You can think that it's going down that and going to all of the chakras and emanating out from the chakras, or you can think that it's just coming in and filling your whole body completely. You can also imagine some of it on the outside of your body, again, very smooth and liquid and soft, very healing, okay? And so the whole idea of the light and nectar, and it's brilliant white, is that it's healing and purifying, okay? So it's not harsh, and it's very comforting and comfortable. So especially if you have tightness in your body, especially tightness in your chest, imagine that, concentrate more on there just being nectar and it being really, how to say, that kind of like, a liquid honey, just so flowing and smooth like that, going throughout your body. Sometimes you might want to focus more on it being light, sometimes more on it being nectar. It doesn't really matter, okay? And so usually they say, do the visualization and the mantra at the same time. Now, sometimes, being perfectionists, in the West, we want to do everything perfect. So we want to have this clear visualization and say the mantra at the same time. And all we come out with is a headache, okay? Because we're pushing. We're pushing. So we've got to avoid pushing in our meditation. And so that's why I think that it can be very good at the beginning of a session, focus more at this point on the visualization, and then at a certain point, add the mantra onto that. Then, once you add the mantra, sometimes it happens that you can do the visualization and mantra at the same time. Sometimes it's more like you focus on the visualization. The mantra is still going, but it's in the background. It's kind of like when you're in a grocery store and the music is in the background. You're hearing it, it's going on, but you're focused on something else. Yeah. Other times, it feels better to pay more attention to the mantra, so you focus on the sound of the mantra, and the visualization is more in the background. So that's perfectly all right. You know, you can adjust these as you see fit, as you feel comfortable. Okay? So don't make the practice into something that you have to combat with in order to do it according to your own expectations of how well you should do it. Okay? Remember, it's called practice. Yeah, that's very important. It's called Dharma practice. Practice means doing something again and again and again. Okay? So we want to practice repeatedly and create the causes repeatedly. And if we create virtuous causes, they will ripen when all the conditions come together, and we don't have to push them to ripen. Okay? So don't sit there and go, you know, there's Vajrasattva. There he is. See, I have two eyes. I got his nose. His mouth isn't very clear. Okay, there. Now I got it. Okay, where's the rest of his body? Okay, yeah. Oh, but I lost his head again. Oh, dear. Now that light nectar, where did it go? You know, just relax, okay? This is a practice of relaxing the mind. When you see yourself getting tight like that, just observe it and reflect a little bit how much that same kind of tightness and wish to control appears in other aspects of your life. Okay? Because this is a good way to start to notice certain mental habits you have. Yeah. And if you're making this a contest between you and Vajrasattva, yeah, it's telling you something about how your mind works. Something important about how your mind works and how you need just to relax. And you can't control it all, and that's okay. And things are going to grow and develop naturally, and that's fine. Okay? Nobody's testing you on your meditation ability and the clarity of your visualization. Okay? There's nobody keeping scorecard of how much merit you have. Okay, oh, she did that meditation very good, 5 merits. Oh, she was distracted from most of that one. -2. Yeah? No, that's not going on at all. Okay? Now, I'm saying these kinds of things because as you meditate, you start to see things in yourself that you've been oblivious to for a long time. And when you see them in your meditation and then see how they're working in the rest of your life too, then you get a lot of information about the kinds of mental habits you need to purify. And it makes you think of the actions that you've done motivated by those kind of mental habits. Okay? So here you are, you're trying to control Vajrasattva. And, do you try and control the people in your life? And how do you speak to the people in your life when you're trying to control them? And what's the difference between guiding and supporting someone and controlling them? What's the difference in the mental attitude? What's the difference in how you speak and how you act? Okay, so it leads to a lot of reflection in this way that can be very helpful for us, because you have to remember that Dharma practice means transforming the mind. Yeah. Dharma practice does not mean visualizing Vajrasattva and saying 100,000 mantra and, having a nice, beautiful mala that's prettier than your friend's mala. Like the kind that are made of glittering beads. Yeah, we like that. Oh, such a pretty mala. Much nicer than my friend's. Yeah. So that isn't Dharma practice. Yeah. Dharma practice happens in here. Yeah. So other people can't see it. And it's just, doing things slowly, going in the right direction slowly and continuously, and actually transforming the mind. Not just reciting mantra, not just visualizing, because you can have a very clear visualization and recite a lot of mantra, and you're doing it to exit left so you don't have to look at your mind. Yeah? Because it feels good to do that. Yeah. So I do the visualization because it makes me feel good. And then I don't need to look at how angry I get at other people or how judgmental I am of other people. Okay? So just remember, Dharma practice is transforming your mind, and everything that happens in your meditation session can be part of that transformation if you work with it in a Dharma way. Okay? So don't get in the thing of judging your sessions. Oh, that was such a good session. I felt so much bliss. Such a good session. And then the next one, wow, I was distracted the whole time. All I did was think about what my brother said to me 15 years ago, and I can't let go of it. Yeah? Don't judge yourself. Yeah. If you're ruminating on what your brother said to you 15 years ago, yeah, put Vajrasattva in that situation. And you be Vajrasattva and talk to your brother like you are Vajrasattva. Feel the way your brother talks to you, feel that way. Feel the way Vajrasattva would feel if he talked to him that way. Okay? So Vajrasattva is not going to go, brother, you're just too much. Our whole childhood you picked on me. Now you're picking on me and as an adult. I just want to be free of you. Get out of here. I don't think Vajrasattva is going to think and feel that way. Do you? Yeah. What's going to go on with Vajrasattva? There your brother is doing it as a trip on you, just like he did when you were kids. Vajrasattva is going to go, wow, he's doing another trip. He's suffering. Why is he acting like that? Because he's not happy. Yeah, here's some sentient being whose mind is overwhelmed by ignorance, anger, and attachment, just like my mind is. Wanting happiness, not wanting suffering, and creating so many causes for suffering. Yeah. And so that's how Vajrasattva is going to look at your brother, and Vajrasattva is going to have compassion. Yeah. And Vajrasattva is going to realize that whatever your brother is saying has nothing to do with him. Yeah. When other people dump their stuff on us, it has very little to do with us and much more to do with them and their misery, and so to respond with compassion instead of taking everything that happens in our life so personally. Yeah, we take things very personally, don't we? Yeah? Just how somebody looks at you in the morning when they say good morning. Why, that's that person say good morning in that tone of voice. You know, all the time I walk into the office, that person looks at me and says good morning like that. Really totally uncalled for. Yeah. Because we view everything in terms of how it affects me. Yeah. Or I know one person, whenever somebody's in a bad mood, oh, it must be because of something I did. Yeah. Somebody's in a bad mood. Oh, 2 days ago I made some small remark to them. I bet you that's why they're in such a bad mood today. I have to keep saying to that person, look, it has nothing to do with you. You're really not that important. Yeah, that some small remark can put that person into a bad mood for so long. Anyway, that's their stuff. It has nothing to do with you. But oh, what did I do wrong? They're in a bad mood. It's just more self-centeredness. Okay? So these are the kinds of things that you have to identify when you're doing the Vajrasattva practice. Okay. Now you might say, well, wait a minute. I thought you were going to describe the visualization here. How come you're talking about all my internal rubbish? Yeah, I want to hear about the light and love and bliss in the visualization. Okay. Well, the reason I'm talking about it is because when we're trying to do the visualization with the light and love and bliss, what comes up in our mind? What is our mind most familiar with? Who do we think about the most? Me. My problems. What I like, what I don't like. What people think about me, what they don't think about me. How I look, what my reputation is. So we're totally habituated with thinking about I, me, my, and mine, and that's not gonna stop. Yeah. So, this stuff is gonna come up while you're trying to, visualize Vajrasattva, and at that point you have to look at that stuff and see how it's based on self-centeredness and based on ignorance. And then think, this is exactly what I'm trying to purify. And think about how the self-centeredness, the ignorance, the attachment, the resentment, all these things, think about all the other actions you've done under their influence. And then renew your visualization of Vajrasattva and really focus on letting all of that go and purifying that. Okay? Yeah. I mean, the most amazing stuff comes up when you do purification intensely, like in a retreat situation. I think I told you, the first night or sometime yesterday, I realized I was mad at my second grade teacher for not letting me be in the class play. Really earth-shattering things like that come up. Yeah. Let alone all the other kind of rubbish that's hiding out in there. Okay. One of my friends did an extended retreat, and she was saying that, during the retreat, she's remembering all the commercial jingles that she heard as a child, And so you have going through your mind, she said she had the ants go marching two by two, and, Mickey, Mickey, and then, and, each generation has its own things, okay? But it's just, you're getting rid of all this filth in the mind stream. So now we come back to the visualization, and this is how you visualize all this filth coming out, okay? So one way is just as we did it, the light and nectar coming inside, you say the mantra like that. Okay, now there's some other visualizations here, 4 of them. Yeah, so here, the first one is the purification of the body. So your afflictions, ignorance, anger, attachment, pride, jealousy, all those wonderful emotions and wrong views and so forth, and the negativities, the negative karma that we've created, motivated by them, okay? And so all of your afflictions and negativities in general, and particularly those of the body, so actions that you have done physically, yeah, killing others, harming others physically, stealing their things, yeah, unwise and unkind sexual behavior. Okay, so all those physical actions, yeah, when they come out of your body, they take the form of black ink. So it's not like you're filled with black ink and pus and blood and snakes and frogs and crabs and, like that. But as the nectar is coming in and kind of flushing you out from top to bottom, as these things leave, they leave in that form. So they're not in you in that form, but as they leave, they take on that form. And when they come out from your body, they disappear. So it's not like you're purifying and, okay, you have black ink, yeah, pus and blood, blech, okay? So sickness takes the negativities of your body, takes the form of black ink. Sickness takes the form of pus and blood. Okay, interferences by other living beings appear in the form of scorpions, snakes, frogs, and crabs. Blech. Okay? Flushed out by the light and nectar, they all leave your body through the lower openings like filthy liquid flowing out from a drain pipe. Yeah? Feel completely empty of these problems and negativities. They no longer exist anywhere. So when they come out in your visualization, it's not like they start stacking up at the bottom of the floor, There's ink and pus and blood, and then the crabs and snakes floating on top, and then more ink and pus and blood, and it's coming up, and you're contaminating everybody in the room. No. Okay, that stuff disappears. Yeah. Or another way to visualize it is you can think that there's a crack in the earth that opens up, and under it is the Lord of Death, some monster-like figure, with his mouth wide open. and all your negativities go into the mouth of the Lord of Death, who just thinks this is like cheesecake. It's so good, you know? So the Lord of Death is blissing out on these scorpions and pus and blood. And at the end of your mantra recitation, so the Lord of Death is, then you see a double dorje. He closes his mouth and there's a double dorje on top of it, so he can't burp. Okay, he can't vomit it up again. It's all in there. And then he goes back under the earth and the earth closes. So you can also visualize like that. Okay? So this kind of process of visualization is, you can really get into it sometimes, you know? When you think about things you've done that you yourself just feel so, ugh, like, how could I have done that? You know? And we all have stuff like that. How could, I just feel terrible. Then that you think that all of that, plus the terrible feeling, comes out, and it's in that horrible form, and then it just vanishes, or it gets eaten up by the Lord of Death, who's satisfied. And then you just feel like, whew, okay, that's done. Because part of the process of purification involves us forgiving ourselves and us accepting ourselves. Okay? So forgiving ourselves, accepting ourselves, it doesn't mean everything we did was angelic and fine. The same way when we forgive somebody else, it doesn't mean whatever they did was okay. It may not be okay, but we're accepting that it happened. We're learning from the situation. We're putting down our self-loathing and the guilt and the self-anger and that rotten feeling inside, and we're moving forward in our life. Okay? So that's the first visualization. So if you've ever had any experience with filthy drain pipes, now is the time to use that and make a really good visualization. When I lived in Dharamsala, when I did Vajrasattva retreat, there were a couple of times when scorpions, one time a scorpion fell from the ceiling right next to me. One time, when I was living there, I found a centipede in my shoe. Good thing, before I shook it out, had a habit of shaking my shoes out before putting my feet in. Good thing, because otherwise it would have been bad news. But so you just think of those experiences. I remember as a kid, I grew up in Southern California, we had tarantulas. Those big spiders. They're really ugly, So all of that you just bring into this, and you put your wish, your intense wish to free yourself from all of that, into the visualization, and the stuff disappears. Okay? And then you sit there and you feel just the light and nectar fill you up. And you relax and enjoy it. Okay? So that's the purification of the body. Purification of speech. Okay, so your afflictions and the imprints of your negativities of speech. So lying. Anybody here who's never lied? Divisive speech, making people who are harmonious quarrel, talking behind people's backs so that they don't get along. Harsh speech, telling somebody off or humiliating them, ridiculing them, making fun of them, insulting them directly to their face. And idle talk, wasting time, just blah, blah, blah. Okay? So all of those things, the negativity of speech, they take the form of liquid tar. Okay? Have you ever been around liquid tar? It's very stinky. Yeah. In Dharamsala, when I lived there, road repair looked like gravel pouring liquid tar on top. Road repair isn't like what they do here. And it stunk, the tar. Okay? So all that negativity takes on the form of liquid tar. Yeah. And the light and nectar fill your body. In the previous visualization, it was coming from the top and pushing everything out the bottom. Here, it comes from the top, but fills you up from the bottom up. Okay? And so the negativities, like the dirt, like oil floating on water, comes up, rises to the top, and then flows out through the upper openings, through your mouth and your nose and your ears and your eyes. Yeah. So kind of like when you wash a very dirty bottle and the gunk rises to the top and then overflows. So that's how the negativities of speech come out. Okay? And then you feel completely empty of those negativities. Yeah. And it's like, all those horrible, disgusting things I said to people in the past. Yeah, it's out, it's opened up, it's coming out, it's gone, And I'm really going to change my speech in the future. Okay, so, and then as you continue, then the liquid just is, you experience this blissful liquid inside of you, or the blissful light. Okay? Sometimes, all this stuff comes out, and then a minute later you feel filled up with different stuff again. That's fine. Yeah, you just keep purifying as much as you can. It's like it's all coming out of the woodwork. Yeah, it's kind of like how you see one cockroach and you get rid of that one, and then another few cockroaches come out and you have to deal with them, and then more and more. So it's like that. Okay. Okay, then the third one is the purification of the mind. So your afflictions and the imprints of mental negativities. So mental negativities, coveting other people's possessions, malice, wanting to, planning our retaliation, wanting them to suffer in return, and wrong views. Okay. Coveting and malice we can understand pretty well. Wrong views are not always so easy because we believe our views. Yeah? And we may have them now, we may have had a lot of wrong views in the past. So in particular, the wrong views that we're purifying involve denying the existence of something that does exist. Here meaning denying the existence of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, thinking that they don't exist, denying the existence of awakening, thinking that it's impossible to attain awakening or enlightenment, denying the existence of bodhisattvas, of holy beings, denying the existence of rebirth. And I'm not saying having doubt about rebirth. It's completely, this does not exist, some hardened view. Denying dependence and thinking things have their own inherent nature, and you're having a philosophy that supports that. Denying that it's possible to purify all the negativities. Yeah, thinking sentient beings are inherently selfish, so there's nothing you can do, so liberation's impossible. These kind of wrong views, yeah. Also included with the wrong views is teaching other people our wrong views, yeah, and spreading our wrong views as if they were correct ones. And nowadays, okay, within the Buddhist community, I think we have to be very vigilant about this. There's, with the rise of mindfulness, okay, the mindfulness craze, it's easy for some people to think, oh, that's all you have to do is just be mindful. Mindful meaning paying bare attention to what's going on in your mind. Yeah, that's not the path to enlightenment, just paying attention to what's going on in your mind. Yeah, paying attention is good, but there's a lot of other things that we have to do too, because otherwise we pay attention. I'm mindful that I'm getting angry. I'm mindful that I'm furious. I'm mindful that I'm lifting up my arm. I'm mindful that I'm clutching my fist. I'm mindful of pushing my arm forward. I'm mindful of the feeling of my knuckles against the other person. People think that's mindfulness. Okay? Mindfulness needs to be coupled with ethical conduct. Yeah, with compassion, with many other things. Yeah. There's also in the Buddhist community this, or maybe these things aren't in the Buddhist community, they're around the edge of the Buddhist community, this thing of secular mindfulness. Secular Buddhism. People saying, well, the Buddha didn't really teach rebirth. The Buddha didn't really teach karma. You don't have to believe in all these things. They're all superstition used to control people. Yeah? There's people talking about it like this, We're just going to try and be good people this life, but we don't have to worry rebirth, karma, all that stuff. Yeah, it doesn't exist. That's very dangerous, because it completely distorts the Buddha's message and misrepresents the Buddha's teachings, because the Buddha did teach those things. And so some people, just because they don't feel comfortable with certain Buddhist tenets, then they say the Buddha didn't teach it. So that's happening a lot in certain circles. Yeah, those kind of wrong views. So we need to be very careful about that kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm not saying that everything you hear you instantaneously believe, because the Buddha himself said we need, like a goldsmith cuts and rubs and burns the gold to see if it's pure, we need to test the teachings that the Buddha is giving us. Yeah, to see if they make sense, to see if they work when we practice them. So that's very, very important to do. So I'm not saying you just believe everything that you're told. Yeah, because somebody else said it. But especially if somebody's teaching views that are contrary to what the Buddha actually taught, then you really need to be very sharp and be able to identify them and not follow those kind of views. Okay? Yeah, Nagarjuna in Precious Garland, that the book over there, Practical Ethics and Profound Emptiness. Yeah, that one. So that's a commentary by Geshe Jumpa Tekchok. I'm sure Rinpoche knew Geshe Jumpa Tekchok. Yeah, yeah, because they were about the same age and same cohort. So that's his commentary on Precious Garland, based on Gyaltsabje's commentary, and in it, Nagarjuna talks about people who teach wrong views destroy not only their own life, but the lives of many other people. And he makes the analogy of how cows are in a herd and they all follow, there's a head cow, And if the head cow takes a path along the edge of a cliff, or if the head cow takes a path going into a jungle where there's all sorts of harmful beings and insects, all the other cows unquestioningly follow the head cow. So he says that's like somebody who misunderstands the Dharma, gathers a group of groupies around them who just look at them like, but teaches them the wrong thing. Yeah, and then everybody winds up over the cliff or in the jungle. Yeah. So I remember, when I read that, it really impacted me, thinking about that, and looking inside and, am I holding on to some kind of wrong views? Yeah. And, surely we don't understand everything. Yeah, if we did, we would be Buddhas. But that's not understanding things and holding on with a cynical, rigid mind to wrong views are different. Because if you don't understand something, there can still be openness in your mind. I don't understand how rebirth works. I don't understand how karma works. Kind of makes sense, but I don't really understand it. I need to think about this some more. I need to study some more and get some more information. Yeah, that's great, because you have a curious mind, an open mind, you want to learn. Yeah, wrong views is when it's like, that doesn't exist. That's just rubbish. We don't believe that. Okay? And wrong views sometimes can have this kind of cynical thing, like, well, you make me believe in rebirth, as if it's somebody else's responsibility, Okay, so do you see the difference that we're talking about here? Okay. Okay, so all this appears as darkness at your heart. So when struck by the forceful stream of the light and nectar that's coming in from Vajrasattva, the darkness instantly vanishes. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The darkness doesn't go anywhere. When you go home at night and you turn on your light, the darkness it vanishes. Does it go hide somewhere else? No, it's just gone. Okay, so in the same way with the mental negativities, the light and nectar come into you, all those mental negativities, like turning on a light, just gone. Okay? So that's the purification of mind. And then the fourth one is simultaneous purification, where you're doing all three of the above together. Okay, so here you have to be a 3-ring circus coordinator. Because you got it going down and coming up and vanishing all at the same time. Yeah, so just take it easy. Yeah. The lions are going one way and the tigers are going the other way and the trapeze artists are going a third way. Okay. Okay, so that one, this sweeps away the subtle obscurations that prevent you from correctly seeing everything that exists. Yeah, so the first 3 are purification of body, speech, and mind, are purifying the various afflictions and negative karma. And, of the 4 noble truths, the true origin, the second noble truth. Yeah. You can also think that they're purifying all the afflictive obscurations that prevent liberation. This 4th one is purifying all the subtle obscurations that prevent full awakening. Okay, so the afflictive obscurations, the grosser ones, are ignorance, grasping true existence is the root of them. The subtle obscurations are the ignorance itself is gone, but there's the remaining vibe of it. They often compare it to, and I bet you've heard Rinpoche use this analogy, to onions and the scent of onions. Yeah, has he used that? So, yeah. Oh, garlic, okay. So, so the afflictive obscurations are like the garlic, and you take the garlic away, but it still smells. That's like the subtle obscurations. So you want to cleanse that too. Okay? So those are the different visualizations. And like I said, you can do 1 every session, you can do 2 a session, you can start with the last one and go forward, any kind of order that you want to, okay? And some days, according to what's going on in your life, one of the visualizations may feel, just like the one you really need to do. Okay, then the 4th power, the power of determination. So here we're talking to Vajrasattva. So remember, Vajrasattva is our best friend. Yeah, you don't have to pretend to be good in front of Vajrasattva. Yeah, forget trying to impress him. Forget putting on airs. It just doesn't work. Okay? And so you say, through ignorance and delusion, I have broken and degenerated my commitments. So if you've taken the 5 precepts, any damage that your actions have done to them, to monastic precepts, to the bodhisattva precepts, any transgressions of those, any transgressions of the tantric precepts, of the tantric, the commitments to the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. Okay, so you're saying, I've broken and degenerated my commitments. You're not hiding it. It's like, here it is, yeah. O spiritual master, be my protector and refuge. So Vajrasattva, again, is like the Buddha we're going to become, yeah. And so the Buddhas that exist already, the Buddhas we're going to become, the 3 jewels that we're going to become, they're like our real refuge, our real protection. They say that the Dharma jewel is the chief object of refuge, because when we actualize that in our own mind, the Dharma jewel is the true paths and the true cessations, the last 2 of the 4 truths, that when we have those in our mind, then, we become the Sangha jewel, we become the Buddha jewel. Okay? So be my protector and refuge, Lord, holder of the Vajra, endowed with great compassion. Okay, so Vajrasattva, who has great compassion, who has the wisdom knowing all existence, who's the foremost of all beings, I take refuge. Yeah. So I take refuge, meaning I turn for spiritual guidance. Yeah, so if we're going to Vajrasattva and all the Buddha's Dharma Sangha for spiritual guidance, then we should listen to the instructions they give us and try and follow them. Yeah. Okay, and then we make a very strong determination. I shall do my best not to do these destructive actions again in the future. So that I talked about that this morning. You know, some actions we can say, never again am I doing that. And other actions we have to say, for the next 2 days, I'm not going to do it. Okay? And then Vajrasattva, is extremely pleased. Yeah. Why is Vajrasattva happy? Because any Buddha's deepest desire is for sentient beings to have happiness. And to have happiness, sentient beings need to create the cause of happiness. They need to purify the things that interfere with creating the cause of happiness. So when we've done purification, we've created virtue, we've purified the negativities. Yeah. So we're in the process of fulfilling what the Buddha's deepest desire is, which is that sentient beings have happiness in its causes. And especially if we've done this with the bodhicitta motivation, we're not just purifying ourselves, but through purifying ourselves, we're increasing our ability and our intention to act according to the bodhisattva conduct and be of benefit to other living beings as well. Okay, so all of that makes the Buddha very happy. Yeah. They say it's kind of like a parent when your kid does something good. Yeah, when your kid who's been misbehaving and all, you know, then does something really well and is being an ethical, good human being, how good you feel as a parent. So it's even better than that, you know, kind of how Vajrasattva feels. Okay, and so he says to us, my spiritual child of the essence, all your negativities, obscurations, and degenerated vows have now been completely purified. And so at that point, we really stop and we say to ourselves, okay, all of that has been purified. I'm putting it all down. And then you put it down. Okay. Now, even though we meditate like that each session and think it's totally purified and down, that doesn't mean that we never have to purify those same misdeeds ever again. Because some of the misdeeds are well entrenched, and it's like you have a dirty cloth, you know, you wash it the first time and, oh, it's so clean. It's like that. But then you look closer and, oh, actually there's some more layers of dirt on it. You need to keep purifying, keep cleansing. So even though we say it's all finished, we keep doing the purification again and again and again. Okay? And then Vajrasattva, you know, who's been on top of your head, melts into light and absorbs in through the top of your head, going down, coming to rest. This ball of light comes to rest at your heart center. Yeah. And so you're really filled with light. Yeah. Don't put a lot of intense focus on your heart center. because that can make the winds imbalanced. But just feel like Vajrasattva enters you and your whole body becomes filled with light. It's like pure, clear, like crystal. Yeah. And then think that your mind and Vajrasattva's mind have become like water poured in water. You can't separate them. They're indistinguishable. And then you meditate like that for a while. Concentrate on that feeling. Yeah. And then after that, there's the dedication of merit, which acts to prevent our merit from being destroyed by anger and wrong views. And it also directs our merit so that it will ripen in the ways that we're saying we want it to ripen. Okay? So, questions, comments? Yeah.
The comment you just made about the dissolving into the heart center, and you made a comment about it sort of disruptive to see the light in the heart rather than the entire body.
I said when the ball of light comes in and it's at your heart, have a sense of space. Don't concentrate on your heart like this, okay?
Otherwise,
Because it will cause an imbalance of the wind energies and you start having pain here. And so you want to avoid that, okay? Yeah.
Is the visualization of Vajrasattva actually, I mean, it's imagined, it's an imagined being. So is it really what we imagine to be the absence of all the negativities? So when the nectar and light is coming down, or whoever the Vajrasattva being is really what I imagine being absent of negativities. Would that be a way of describing it?
Yeah, that's one way. That's the true cessation part of it, the absence of all negativities. It's also the true path part, so the wisdom that knows the nature of reality. So Vajrasattva's both of those coming into you. Okay? Because in order to cease the afflictions and have the true cessations, you need the true path. You need the wisdom consciousness.
And I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So you imagine.
So I imagine.
You imagine. And then as you study more and more, and you contemplate what you study and meditate on it, then your understanding of what that wisdom is and what the nature of reality is becomes clearer and clearer. Yeah. But for right now, you know what's really good is, just think, my anger's totally gone. Or whatever your affliction is, maybe, attachment's your major affliction, greed, attachment, stickiness, that's gone, totally gone. And you imagine, what would it be like to be like that without my attachment? What would it feel like to be without my anger? So no matter what somebody said to me, I would never get angry again. Or no matter what gorgeous opportunity there was, I would never, get attached to it again. And you imagine what that would feel like. Okay? Yeah.
We imagine the afflictive things in our body. You mentioned darkness and these different animals, the scorpions and all this. Are we also purposefully trying to remember when we've done these wrong actions and things? are we recalling them on purpose?
Okay.
Bring them up and out?
Yeah.
Or is it more, they may just come to us?
Okay. Well, when we did on the first page, the power of regret, that's where we can think of specific things that we want to purify. Okay. And then we can also think of general categories and types of actions that we want to purify. So both the specific things we can remember and general things that, who knows what I did in a previous life, but I could have done this. Okay? And so you confess all of that before. When you're doing the mantra, you can again think of those specific things if you want, and think that, they're coming out of you. And again, they're not in you in the form of these animals, but when they come out, they take the form of those animals. Okay? Yeah. Other questions? Comments? Yeah.
This is an open practice that anybody can do, any Buddhist can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, what I'm thinking about is in practices where there's initiation involved. When you think of whatever enlightened being you're meditating on, you think of them as inseparable from your teacher,
Mm-hmm.
or all your teachers, or the whole lineage of teachers. And I wonder if there's any room here for people to think of admirable human qualities in people that they've seen, like His Holiness or something, as being also part of Vajrasattva. I don't
Yeah.
know, it just came to my mind
Okay.
when I started thinking, oh, Lama Vajrasattva. Well, no, that's not what the level we're practicing.
Yeah. Okay. When you're somebody who already has had initiation, when you do this, you can think Vajrasattva and your spiritual mentor are inseparable. When you're a beginner, it depends, because it may be, somebody may not have much faith in His Holiness. So if you tell them to imagine them as having His Holiness's qualities, they may be a total beginner and think, well, His Holiness used to be head of a government, because they don't know who He really is. Okay? So you can, it's, I think, better just think of the qualities that you admire in human beings or in holy beings, and then think of Vajrasattva as a manifestation of those qualities. You don't have to pin them to a specific individual, for beginners. And because this whole idea of your guru and the deity being the same, that's not for beginners. Okay?
But Vajrasattva has the qualities of all Buddhas.
Yes.
All enlightened beings.
Yes, all enlightened beings, definitely. Yeah.
So how do you react when you hear total wrong views, like an author shifting his stance to no karma? How do you react to that in public when you talk to people?
Well, I stamp my foot and I give them a good lecture. Okay, so when I hear people saying wrong views, how do I deal with it? It depends very much on the situation, who the person is, what my relationship with them is, who else is around. Everything you have to see, there's so many different factors. And so how I respond is going to depend on that. If it's somebody I don't know very well, I probably will just change the subject to something else. So that their wrong views don't get spoken about to other people. If it's somebody I know very well, then if there's a lot of other people around, I probably won't say anything to them in front of the other people, but when we're alone as friends, I'll say something. Okay? Or sometimes I might just, if somebody has an incorrect view, then I might say, you know, I see things differently and this is how I see them. Yeah, but you know, you have to be very skillful because as soon as you point the finger saying, you have a wrong view, you know, the person's just going to tune you out. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
About express, what I'm thinking of is a book that I couldn't finish reading it because the author basically said that, you know, 2,500 years of Buddhist practitioners didn't understand what Buddha was saying, but he does, you know, so if anybody asked me about that book, I would probably say, maybe not so helpful or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go out and have a crusade about it.
Right. But you can write on Amazon. That there's some inaccuracies in this book. Yeah.
That's true. You can reflect.
Yeah, you can just say there's some inaccuracies. Yeah. So, yeah, I know it doesn't work so well to go on public crusades for something, you know. Yeah, too divisive.